Okay, in this tutorial we're going to take a quick look at starting to loop our program. So we've got programs that use selection, like select different operations to perform when you run it. We also want to use some repetition. That's where a program would repeat chunks of code over and over and over until a certain condition is met. So these are called conditional loops. So basically they'll exit when a certain condition is met. In this program here I've got it's basically some code that generates a random number. So it's a random number between 1 and 10. We then ask the user to try to guess the number between 1 and 10. We store their guess. If the user's guess is bigger than random number, we say that their guess was too high. If it's less, we tell them it was too low. And then otherwise, if it's not bigger or smaller, then it must be equal. So we tell them that they've got it. So when I run this program right now, I'm actually going to add a little line of code right here. And what this does is this is going to output the actual random number generated by the computer. Now you're thinking, why would you do this? This would make it really easy for the user to do. But this is just an example of using some output statements when we're debugging our program to make sure that it's working properly. So I would take this out when I'm done my project. But for now, it's nice to know what that random number is to see if my code's actually working properly. So if I run it, it says random number generated was 7. So try to guess a number between 1 and 10. Let's pretend I guessed 5. Then it would tell me, sorry, your guess is too low. And I would run that and I would test it a whole bunch of times. The problem is when this is done, the program just exits. So even if I'm wrong, it just exits. And I want to switch that. So I want to make it so that it loops until a condition is met. So I want this program to loop until until the user actually enters the value that's the same as the random number. So the code I'm going to add here, this is where I want my loop to begin. So that's important. Every time I loop through, I don't want to generate a new random number. I don't want to output that number. What I want the loop to, where I want it to start, is where they ask for that number. So right here, I will use it. It's called a while loop. So I'll say, while the random number that I generated is not equal to the user's guess. So basically, what I'm saying is, and I've got a little brace here. I have to add another one down at the bottom. So what I'm saying is, as long as the random number doesn't equal the user's guess, we just want to keep going through this loop. We want to repeat this code. As soon as the random number does equal the user's guess, it will exit the program. So I could put a little code out here saying, thanks for playing. Now there's one little problem with the program. So right here it's underlined. It says variable user guess might not have been initialized. So the first time you go through this program, user's guess doesn't actually have a value. So you can't compare a number to another number that doesn't have a value. So what we'll do here is we'll add user guess equals 0. And we'll know that that will never equal the random number. The random number goes between 1 and 10, so it's never going to generate a random number that equals to 0. So this loop will occur for sure at least once. So if we run through this program, it's going to generate the random number, and then we'll go into our loop, and we'll try to guess a number. So let's run this now. So the random number I know is 8, so let me test a couple things. I'll say, let's say my guess is 6. It says, sorry, your guess was too low, and then it is looped again. This time, let's say I guess number 9. Sorry, your guess was too high. This time I will get it right. It says, yes, you got it, and then at the end of the program it says, thanks for playing. So that's how to create a conditional loop. And you can add all sorts of things in here. So you can add while two things are true. So while a random number is less than user guess and something else is true. We could add a counter in here that would count how many times they try to guess. So if they guess over 3 times, we would exit the loop and say, sorry, you had too many tries and you didn't get it correct. So you can add all sorts of things in these loops. And again, this is called a conditional loop. Once I'm done the program and I'm happy with it, then I would delete that line of code right there. So then the user obviously wouldn't know what the random number is. And now I can run it, and we're going to see how I do here. I select a random number between 1 and 10. I'm going to guess 5. Your guess was too low, so I'm going to guess 8. Still too low. 9. And then I got it. Thanks for playing.